Good morning, class. So, today we start a new chapter, B. Wordsworth. It is on page 113 and written by V.S. Naipaul. So, before we start with the chapter, let us take a look at the author. Let us learn something about the author. V.S. Naipaul, I want you to turn to page 119. V.S. Naipaul was born in Trinidad in 1932. He began to write short stories and novels in England in 1954. So it was later on that his family shifted to England. Between 1950 and 1960, he published quite a few novels, many of which received literary awards. Among the best known of these are Migwell Streets, from which this story comes. This particular story, B. Wordsworth, is an extract from the story Migwell Street. A House for Mr. Biswas, The Mimic Men, and In a Free State. He began to travel in 1960 and wrote books about the West Indies and South America and India. In Migwell Street, Naipaul describes many of the residents of a poor area in Port of Spain, Trinidad. Naipaul's ancestors came from India, and the stories in this book show the great variety of a mixed culture. The language, the people, and the customs of Trinidad are brought to life by Naipaul's vivid writing. So, in particular, I want you to focus on the language which has been used in this particular story. And when we are talking about language, the kind of language which we have focused over here, or which the author has focused here, is adverb clauses of time, which we will come to later on after finishing the book. As of now, I want you to enjoy the story. The story is about a young boy who was living on Migwell Street. Now, often the house was visited by a number of strangers, and the people who lived on Migwell Street were very hospitable. They were very welcoming and friendly towards strangers. And one of these days, a stranger whose name later on we come to know as B. Wordsworth happens to come to the author's. Over here, children, I think we can safely assume that the author has written about his childhood. A stranger comes to his house and requests to watch the trees which were buzzing on the gru-gru palm trees. Now, without further ado, let us start with the story. There are main two characters over here. B. Wordsworth, who happens to be, all those who have read the story, you will realize that it is a very captivating story, something very deep, other than what we learnt about, what we studied in A Boy's Best Friend, though it had a real deep meaning. It doesn't matter whether your friend, in this particular story, A Boy's Best Friend, we learnt that your best friend can even be a robot, doesn't matter. Somebody has to be alive. For the boy over here, Jimmy, his robot was his best friend, and he refused to take up the real dog which his parents had ordered from the earth. Similarly, this story also, children, kind of has a moral in the end. It is sort of depressing and sad, but then at the same time it is very captivating too. So let us begin the story. I want you to open up to page number 113. Take your pencils in hand. Lot of things which I am sure you should be noting it down. Make sure that you note down all the things, because if you are not the reading kind and if you are not the kind who opens the dictionaries regularly, then you will miss out so much in studies. 3 beggars called punctually every day at the hospitable houses in Migwell Street. So there were 3 beggars who used to come regularly at a fixed time to these houses. Hospitable, friendly and welcoming to strangers. At about 10, an Indian came in his dhoti and white jacket, and we poured a tin of rice into the sack he carried on his back. So maybe here they were coming every day, and every day they were being given something or the other. At 12, an old woman smoking a clay pipe came, and she got a cent. At 2, a blind man led by a boy called for his penny. So different people came at different times and they all were given different things. A cent and a penny, children, it's a currency which is taken up in many countries, followed in many countries. It is generally a coin. Sometimes we had a rogue, a stranger, somebody who they could not relate to. Over here, rogue is not a bad person, but a person whom they could not relate to, who did not answer to the description of a beggar. So, in the beginning itself, the author has introduced this stranger who takes up the entire story, who becomes one of the main protagonists of the story as a rogue. One day a man called and he said he was hungry. We gave him a meal. He asked for a cigarette and wouldn't go until we had lit it for him. That man never came again. Sorry children, this particular man does not become the main protagonist of the story. But then he was a stranger, a vagabond who just happened to be crossing the street, and at random he just came knocking on the door of our house and he was given such things, and he refused to move till the time whatever his request was not met. Now the strangest caller came one afternoon at about 4 o'clock. I had come back from school and was in my home clothes. The man said to me, "Sonny, may I come inside your yard?" The yard over here is the open space or the lawn in front of the house. He was a small man and he was tidily dressed, meaning to say he was not dressed like a beggar. He was neatly dressed. He wore a hat, a white shirt and black trousers. I asked, "What you want?" Now see children, the kind of language which was used in the native language, the way they spoke English in Trinidad has been used over here to bring out to create a feeling or the atmosphere of how things were at that time. So the correct way will be to ask such a question will be, what do you want? So often here you will see the helping verb do, right, has been incorrectly used or not used at all. He said, "I want to watch your bees." We had 4 small gru palm trees and they were full of uninvited bees. Of course, you never send invitation to anybody. The bees, they go anywhere they want looking for honey or nectar. My mother came out, looked at the man and asked in an unfriendly way, "What you want?" See, again the same thing. The do is missing from here. The man said, "I want to watch your bees." His English was so good it didn't sound natural. The way he spoke. According to the author, who was just a child, he could make out that the way the stranger spoke the language, it was so good that it did not sound natural to a person who was roaming around, who did not seem to have a house, and he had just ventured in uninvited. And I could see my mother was worried. So why was the mother worried? Because often enough, see children, when you look at beggars, they cannot speak properly. Their dialect is different, their language is rough. But over here, both the mother and son, they are face to face with a stranger who was speaking very good English, and they did not know, especially the mother did not know what to make out this stranger. She said to me, "Stay here and watch him while he watches the bees." So kind of a pun over here. Watch him while he watches the bees. Watch him over here means to keep an eye that particular stranger who had not come to their house before and who came with a very strange request to watch the bees. So the mother obviously did not trust him. So she wanted that the little boy should keep an eye on the man so that he doesn't go here and there or does not create any mischief. The man said, "Thank you, madam. You have done a good deed today." So see, not only the man's English was good, but his manners too were great. He told the lady of the house, he thank you, and he said, see again, the word deed, the way he uses the word deed, seems that the person or the boy's mother had done something great today. He spoke very slowly and very correctly, meaning to say grammatically there was nobody could find any fault in his English, as though every word was costing him money, that he was very careful with his words. Now it can be two things why he was very careful with his words, because maybe the English language was not his native tongue, or he wanted to make a good impression on the people he was speaking to. We watched the bees, who we, the boy and that stranger, this man and I, for about an hour squatting near the palm tree. So they are looking at the bees, they are watching the bees going around humming, and how soon an hour passes by, and without talking they are just lying there in the ground and looking up at the bees. Now squatting, not lying down, but squatting. Crouching, squatting means crouching, to crouch or sit with bent knees. The man said, I like watching bees. Sonny, do you like watching bees? I said, I ain't have the time. Ain't over here means don't have the time. He shook his head sadly. He said, that's what I do. I just watch ants for days. Have you ever watched ants? And scorpions and centipedes and congeries, have you watched those? I shook my head. I said, what you does do, mister? Now see, children, we'll come to this line later on. From here, when he says that I watch ants and scorpions, what do you make out of the man stranger who had come to the boy's house? That maybe he is not regularly, he does not have any means of livelihood, he doesn't have a regular work through which he earns his livelihood, and he has too much of time on his hands. Now again, when he says, what you does do, mister? So this is incorrect English as far as we are concerned. But then maybe during the times in Trinidad, this is the way it was spoken. So it does mean, what do you do? The correct way to ask this question will be, what do you do, mister? So children, we'll take up the rest of the story in the next video. So I want you to, if you are interested, if this particular story up till now has kind of encouraged you to read further, interested you to read further, then please read this whole story and we'll discuss it later. We will of course read it together later on, and make sure you enjoy it. Till that time, stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you.